welcome to something brand new and very exciting for us. Yeah, we are going to play with something new, and we are completely making this up as we go along. So it's going to be very authentic, I think is the way to put it. So it's called Real and Raw, Raising Children with Disabilities. So my name's Naomi, for anybody who doesn't know it. I'm here at Spirit of the Phoenix, and well, who's going to help me on this journey, as well as Patch, is...
I'm Melanie, and I'm a parent of a little boy called Riley. He's 13 and is diagnosed autistic. He's non-verbal. He also has ADHD, sensory processing disorder, and OCD, so he's quite complex. We've been on this journey with you for almost 6 years this month.
I know, so cool.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy, but warrants my grey hairs.
Yes,
I've decided.
And mine. But we've learnt so much. And it's been such an inspirational journey that I think it's well warranted to share with others. For me, I think if we hadn't have been on this journey with you and exploring these new things, I think we would be on a completely different path than we are now. Riley, I think you'd agree, is a completely different child to what he was when I first brought him to you. And I think just being able to share with other parents that there are other things that you can do, there are other places that you can go, and just building a community, Mm-hmm. It's so hard raising any child with a disability. Yeah. But for me, the isolation was really rough. Yeah. When he was younger, sort of between the ages of 4 and 8 were the worst for me. I didn't know what to do. I had no experience of a child like Riley, and it was really tough. And I think finding this space and finding, people that understood is what really made it for me. So if we can be that for someone else, that will be a job well worth doing.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think what we kind of wanted to use this was a chance to have conversations which are comfortable and uncomfortable, about comfortable and uncomfortable topics, mm-hmm. that highlight some of the challenges, but also some of the ways we've overcome those challenges, some of the sidewards things we've done, some of the things they've taught us.
It's not all flowers and roses.
No, not at all.
It's really not.
There's always horse poo somewhere. There's always a pile of poo somewhere.
There is. And just when you pick one up, another one lands,
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole about being so real and raw about it, is that, it's not easy, and it's a constant journey, and you need constant support, and you need a constant community. And I think if we can provide that's brilliant.
Yeah, that would be really, really awesome. Yeah. So with this space, it's going to be ever evolving, and it's not just between me and Mel. We kind of want you guys to join in too and share your thoughts, your journey. We want this to be a safe space that's supportive, but we're also going to be honest and authentic. So some things will go, absolutely. Some things will go, ooh, well, we've tried that one a couple of times and this is what's happened because of it. So
and I think what's important is there's no right or wrong answer.
No.
And there's no right or wrong opinion either. No. This is about, like you say, about being authentic and about being real, and what works for one person might not work for the next person. Yeah. But it's all about sharing experiences and sharing knowledge, and giving people the tools to be able to explore different things.
Yeah. And also, so one of the reasons why we had this chat beforehand and we were like playing around with concepts and ideas was that there is this culture that we're both part of, one being the parent culture and one being the professional culture, and how those can sometimes help each other and sometimes it can clash, and how to navigate those conversations and help.
And I think how to build that relationship
because that's really
parent
key.
And professional, because it is so difficult when you have a child with whatever need or disability and you get that diagnosis. That's where your relationship with the professional often ends. And it might be, I'll see you in 6 months for a review, or I'll see you in 12 months for a review, and that's kind of where it ends. And that's super scary for a start.
Yeah.
Especially if, like me, you had no experience of having a child like Riley. I had no idea what was coming, and felt like I didn't have anywhere to go. And I think really emphasising the fact that we need to build relationships between parent and professional, whether that's paediatrician, therapist, school, whatever it is, that building that partnership is so key to actually making huge. Any progress.
Yeah, absolutely huge. But I agree with you. It's that the systems are all set up now for, how does someone say, to keep the flow. So the flow of people coming through, but they forget the evolution side of things, but also that consistency of support. And I know from where I'm at with my professional career, I'm now at the stage where I was just saying to you, I'm on my first chapter. So I'm about a year and a half reaching my first goal with Spirit the Phoenix, which was doing 10,000 hours of this work. And through that journey, I've experienced a lot, learned a lot, and there is one thing that I've really is kind of sitting in my heart now more than it ever has before, was this whole conversation about removing either or. So it's either this or that, and actually replacing it with the word and.
Yeah.
We do this and something, and we start looking at things more 5-dimensional rather than this 2D linear process.
Yeah. And I think as well, as a parent, from you and your journey, the things I've learned from you and continue to learn from you are fascinating, you know, sort of how the brain works neurologically and what part actually, you know, we need to look at doing, you know, certain things before we can then look at doing something else, because actually without that skill the brain physically can't look at doing something else. And that's not something that I ever would have known before, I ever would have thought of, but actually even in practice it's fundamental. And I'm really seeing a difference, and I think you're seeing a difference. You know, we've come on such a journey with him, and I think without that, having that relationship, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, interesting, because I was thinking this morning about this, like the relational side of things, like what's the first thing that I step into with people, and people can't progress forwards while they're in survival mode. And professionals, whether we like to admit it or not, we didn't cope with COVID at all. We all went on survival mode, and I'm now seeing professionals coming off survival mode and back onto their kind of normal practice, if there's such a word. And parents have been on survival mode because they were thrown into a whole whirlwind of situations. And it's kind of that topic everyone kind of goes, oh yeah, it's there's no blame, but we do need to acknowledge that we are all still on survival mode, and actually we need to come off that, so then we can start at a place where we can progress and move forwards again, rather than this blame, competition,
absolutely,
aggression, just anger,
absolutely. And that goes to say exactly the same for, like you say, when you first come into these problems. Even without COVID, as a parent, more often than not, you spend a lot of time on survival mode. And I know me, myself, never even looked at it like that. It isn't until, you know, I've really been working on things with you that you stand back and you look at, actually, that's why I'm not progressing, is because it's me that's on survival mode. It's me that doesn't want to test the boundaries because at the moment things are okay, or I don't want to upset this apple cart, or, you know, push him into a meltdown for saying no, or for asking something different of him. And it's about looking at the whole situation and actually just recognizing that you might be on survival mode.
Absolutely. And also, like, just knowing that there is a way to come off it. Like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. So there's a few cultural norms that are there, like, you're meant to live like this with a child with disability. This is the norm. This is okay. This is the way it's gonna be. And it's actually, why is it? Like, I love the question, why? Why do we have to stay that way? Why are they glass ceilings, and why can't we ask them difficult questions? And why are we saying the potential is up to this point when actually the science says we don't know?
And for a long time, I was under that spell of, this is how it's going to be. You know, when he was young, I was told of all the things that Riley will never do and all the things he'll never be able to achieve. You know, he'll never be able to communicate properly. He'll never talk. He'll never be able to cope in busy places. You'll never be able to take him to a strange place. You'll never be able to go on holiday. And
share what you did there. Share what you did.
But that's the thing, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that we have in common is that we both like to test the boundaries and try the things that you're not supposed to be able to do.
Yeah. Well, why not? Why not today? Hey,
you know, and Riley's got to 13, and yes, he is still non-verbal or pre-verbal, whichever you would prefer. He makes a lot of sounds but doesn't have any actual words, but he is a very effective communicator.
I was just about to say, me and him have some really passionate discussions with his AAC device.
So he uses an AAC, which is an app on his phone, or you can have it on iPad, things like that, and basically it talks for you, doesn't it? Yeah. So you can press the buttons. There's literally every bit of communication you would ever need in there. So he can make full sentences. We have arguments.
We do.
We can talk things out. He can tell me how he's feeling. So yes, he has actually in fact turned into a very effective communicator. Yeah. I've learned through that his understanding is good. You know, they said he would never understand certain situations, and he's a really smart cookie. Yeah. He understands a lot more than he gets credit for. And we travel a lot. We go to somewhere different every time. We might go 2, 3, 4 times a year, and he absolutely loves it. And these are all things that you shouldn't be able to take, a non-verbal, severely autistic child on a plane. And it's one of his favourite things to do.
Go through airports, do security, go on a plane, be in a different country, figuring out new places.
Yeah, listening to instructions and being safe in the community, and and being safe out when we go to the beach and things like that. And he's really adapted. Yeah. And that was something that I was told that he would never be able to do. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's where, like, as a profession or professional, it's like we're in this constant dance that we can only share what's been proven, but that also means that we also have to be researchers and provide opportunities for explorations about what do we not know yet.
Yeah, and I think that's the bit that grips me, is that what do we not know yet? I mean, Riley is such a different child from when we first embarked on this journey with you, that I often sit and wonder, what will it be like in another 6 years? Yeah. What will it be like in another 10 years? Yeah. What will he be able to do? Where will his journey take him?
Yeah. Which, like, another thought I was thinking about this morning is, like, as a professional, who do I see when they step into the space? And I've been really fortunate because of my own journey of exploration, and just the way my brain works is so different to others that I only see somebody whole, complete and able. I've never had somebody who's been disabled, unabled or broken, but I have seen a lot of people show up who have forgotten their whole self, forgotten all their capabilities. And it's my role to facilitate opportunities to go, okay, what if we give this opportunity? Will you remember this? Yeah. Will you remember that?
Yeah, and I think one of the great things that you do is you teach the parents how to give those opportunities. Yeah. And you teach the parents that it's possible. Yeah. To give those opportunities, I mean, you'll remember back in the day that I was so mother hen.
I had to ban you to the mountain block.
Yes, I got banned to the mountain block. I got banned to the car. Yeah. I got my hands zipped in my pockets. Yep. Because it's that natural instinct. When you're told, oh, he'll never be able to do this, he'll never be able to do that. I was doing everything for him. I was opening his cup, I was zipping up his coat, and it didn't occur to me to give him the opportunities to do it himself. Mm-hmm. And actually, from that very first session of he can open his own cup, I then started to see and started to learn, actually, he could really do a lot if I was to step back and give him the opportunity. So a lot of it is about being able to give yourself the knowledge as well.
Yeah, and confidence.
Yeah,
And then
confidence.
just not to be afraid of things getting messy and them getting themselves into sticky situations within reason, as long as they've got the capabilities to get themselves out. But there has to be that challenge, and I think that's been one of the newest things that's coming out more and more, the research around actually how we need things not to be simple. Like, our world is getting so automated, so simplified, but it baffles me because our supposed mental health and all these different areas is getting so much worse. So how is this thing that's supposed to help us and make us all better, because it's so simple and stuff, is actually we're getting worse? So it means actually, is it the answer, or is it only part of the solution, and are we giving it too much and we're forgetting that actually it's okay to get wet, it's okay to get cold, it's okay to fall over, it's okay to bump your knee or stub your toe, and through those things you realize, oh, that's where the door frame is, I won't do that again.
And I think, off the back of that, I think it's a good thing to say, it's okay to fail.
Massively.
I've tried so many things with Riley and I've been convinced, I've done the research, this is going to be it, we're going to do this program and this is going to make him into an effective communicator, because it took a long time for us to learn. We had to revisit things. We revisited the AAC over the years, maybe 3 or 4 times. Before it stuck. And so you get into this space of, right, this is going to be the one, and then you try it and you try your best and it fails. And it's having that knowledge of thinking it's okay to fail. We'll try the next thing, and then we'll try the next thing, and then when we think we've done it all, we're going to go back and we're going to start again.
And also, interestingly, like when those failures and things comes through and by, then you go, okay, how do I take that, and then which piece of it is missing? Like, that's the activity analysis. So walking down steps, is it the fact that they've just never come off the ground before? Do we need to bounce on a trampoline first? Or is it a fact that we just don't have the alternate feet? Or is it the fact that actually none of that? Most of the times we just never realize that they can self-initiate a task. So something I see really often is like, the kids are like so trained that they have to wait for that audio cue to say, okay, do this, that they don't even think, oh, I can do this myself.
Absolutely. And I think I've been, I've really been victim to that, where I've been, wait for me, wait for mum, where actually I've learned over the time that, he can, I catch.
I know the cow's coming.
The emotional support dog.
Is the cows coming? It's okay. They're just cows.
We are on a live farm here.
Yes. We said it'd be real and raw.
So I think, just putting all of that together is kind of the whole ethos of why we want to do what we're doing.
I think it's going to be an interesting journey, and like I say, we're going to see things from both sides of the story, which is the kind of the unique part we wanted to really hit home, that it's not just one person, a professional instructing a person, this is how it should be done. No, it's this linear like conversation back and forth about play and curiosities, and helping go.
And I think that's one of the best things that I can take from the journey and the sessions that we've had with you, is we don't come away with a list of, right, now you must do this and this and this, and that's how you do it, because that isn't the kind of partnership that we're talking about. That's not the relationship that we're talking about. But you get the parents to look at things in such a different way that you then naturally go off, and you, after a while, are naturally evaluating different situations, different reactions, and you're looking at the whys and the wheres and the how can I do that better next time, instead of just thinking we can't do this.
So I think kind of the last thing for us to just touch on in this is like our intro video, I think is the best way we'll put it. We're just kind of setting the scene, is where we feel society's at and what kind of topics that spurred us on to complete. So do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Honestly, I think, I mean, we're on such a journey, you know, with things with Riley's education and, you know, his paediatrician and all of these kind of things that we'll, you know, I'll go into much later on. But in terms of society as a whole, I think as a parent, for me, it feels like being on the Titanic and it's sinking and you can't get off and there are no lifeboats and no one's coming and every door is shut and you are just paddling like hell to try and get to the next bit of wood to float on.
I was just, do you know what? I just had the Leonardo DiCaprio just there,
I know.
like, on the wood, like, I'll get you there.
Don't let go. Don't let go. And we're just hanging on.
We're like, Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. It's on the whole, it's pretty fucked. I'm not
It
gonna lie.
is. Do you know what, Erin? We are at an interesting time, and I think from the professional standpoint, now I have to speak in terms of I am in a very unique setting, which means I'm not exposed to a lot of other stuff. That is through choice, actually, to be honest, because every time I dip my toe into those pools or ponds, I quickly bring my toe out because I'm just like, oh, darn it. But it too is a case of everything now is moving at such a rapid pace that the protocols, the expectations are changing at such a pace that we are in a place of instability. So every time we find like, okay, this is the path, this is what we're going to do, suddenly something else curveballs in and we're just like, oh shoot, right back to the drawing board. And it's like we can't really get ourselves stable again.
No, it's ever evolving, isn't it?
Yeah, but the speed is just too quick now. So yes, we want things to evolve, but also what we knew worked, still sit on that. But we have this thing, well, it's not a thing, it's really applicable and useful. Like, we have to stay within our scope of practice, which is really good because but it does mean that we have to be able to contact and interchange with other professionals. But also it means that we can see stuff we want to do, but we can't do it.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of just go, and then you go back onto the next waiting list because you've got to go to that person. Like in the past year, I think 3 or 4 diplomas I've completed just so I can say what I already knew and experienced.
Yeah, and it's the red tape for you guys. What I've learned from you is just, it's insane.
Yeah, and it's just where we had freedom for creativity and that trust. Now everything, it's been at times used incorrectly, which rightly so should be stopped at all costs, but others, it's always like that pendulum, it just sometimes swings a bit too far, and it's about allowing those conversations of that space of trusting creativity slightly.
Yeah, and also, you know, being able to be realistic with it. You know, there are certain, you know, situations and experiences that I've had with Riley and professionals, and they've said, you know, I agree with you, but I can't do that because of this red tape and that red tape. And that's led to all kinds of things, you know, again, which we'll go into, you know, in detail much later on in the journey. But for example, Riley doesn't attend school anymore because of the red tape. You know, they can see he is capable, but they aren't allowed to put any demand on him.
Well, this is so, like, if I expand on that, most people think being realistic is by bringing things into a smaller world. When we talk about being realistic, actually we're saying about them being in an even expanded world than anybody can comprehend. Like there is no glass ceiling, there's only more questions about what about this, what if we could do that, and what if we did try that, what would happen next. So
and I think that's a really great way to introduce what we're doing.
So we like to welcome you on this journey with us. We will be doing multiple topics on getting to grips with actually problems people are dealing with.
Absolutely. Real life situations. Speakers, some really great guest speakers that we're going to have in. That are we going to let people know before so they can maybe preempt questions and things like that?
I think that would be kind of handy. We can have a Q&A
Yeah.
Get some buzzers.
Yeah. And just see where we go with it all, really. I think, like I said at the beginning, for me, it's about building a community of, you know, professionals and parents alike that, you know, want to progress.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, we would like to wish you a very good day, and we will see you in the next episode of Real and Raw. See you later. Bye.